All right, everyone, Jammer here from Jammer's Wrestling Magazine collection, and today's video is going to be in layers. There's no way I can do everything in this video. I just don't have the time on my camera or the space for it. I'm looking at giant stacks of magazines to my right, and there's a reason why. The other day I was at Shoppers Drug Mart, and I was looking at the magazines just for something, and I saw a wrestling magazine that wasn't normal. I saw this. Hulk Hogan, The Unbelievable True Story. Now, this magazine is mainly just, kind of like those magazines you'd see on actors or something that I don't know even who puts them out, but they put these things out and it's kind of like, well, here's what happened. Here's the story. Here's the man. Here's how he grew up and everything he's done. And they even do it for TV shows. I have a Beverly Hills 90210 and a Seinfeld magazine that kind of does that, right? And I'm pretty sure there was ones on Friends and such too. And probably other celebrities of sorts too, right? Actors and such not. But I was thinking, let's do an actual magazine history here on Hulk Hogan on the magazine covers. Now, I didn't do any WWF or WCW ones because I don't have all the WWF ones or WCW ones, but I have a good good stack of the Stanley Weston ones. I thought it'd be fun to go through those. So I'm gonna do these in pieces every day or so and upload them because it's a way too much, and I don't think you guys want to sit through an hour of Hulk Hogan videos all the time. I know I wouldn't, but maybe 20 minutes worth, that's not too bad, right? So we start off with May 1980, and Hogan right there says, "The Incredible Hulk Hogan, I will control wrestling in the 80s. Man, he was right. He was dead set on that, wasn't he? He did control wrestling in the 80s with the help of the WWF and Vince McMahon, but he still controlled it in the 80s. January 1981, PWI, Hulk Hogan's boast, "I've proven Pat Patterson is a coward." Hogan and Patterson feuded back then in the WWF. Hogan, of course, a villain. Wearing the red knee pads in yellow, though. Yellow boots and trunks. That's cool there. So kind of a prelude of what Hogan would be wearing when he became, really super famous with the WWF in the 80s. July 1981 for Inside Wrestling has Bob Backlund driven Hulk Hogan insane. So Hogan here, a lot more hair in his head, wearing the black trunks, a villain, feuding with Bob Backlund for the WWF title. Interesting enough, though, even back then, they saw Hogan as a guy to go for the title, right? He was in big main event matches, wrestling the champ. Never wrestled the champ at Madison Square Garden, though. I think it was Philadelphia Spectrum. He wrestled Bobby Backlund. So, but still in the title picture. August 1981, Tony Atlas versus Hulk Hogan. Man, look at Tony Atlas. That guy was built, and you thought Hogan was big. Atlas, look at him. Makes Hogan look small here. Hogan, of course, was a big dude, just not really defined, right? He was just bulky. But yeah, Hogan's still a villain here. But that would all change. He'd go to the AWA, July 1982, Inside Wrestling. 20 minutes that shook wrestling. Hulk Hogan takes the AWA belt. There's the Hulkster with Nick Bockwinkel there on the cover. So Hogan goes to the AWA after Rocky III. And becomes a star there. Hulkamania is kind of born in the AWA, and then kind of Vern Gagne kind of screwed that, right? Let's be honest. November 82 for PWI. We get a small photo here of Hogan with the PWI shirt. Hulkamania. So it's not Hulkamania here. Look at that. It's Hulkamania. So they were onto something, though. I don't know if Hulkamania term came from this magazine or if it came from Hogan himself or it came from the fans, but here it says Hulkamania. That, of course, would turn into Hulkamania as years go on. December 82 for PWI, we got Hulk Hogan at the crossroads, wrestling or Hollywood, meaning, he had success with Rocky III. Would he, go back and do Hollywood if it came calling? But it didn't, and he stayed in professional wrestling at this time. This photo here also taken from the same match with Tony Atlas. He has the same Band-Aids on his head and the same red trunks that he's wearing there. The Wrestler, September 1983, we go to now for Hogan on the cover. This is in the AWA. Nick Bockwinkel forces Hulk Hogan into exile, and only the fans can bring him back. I think the storyline there, and there's not really a storyline, I think there's some truth to it. Hogan wasn't happy. He wasn't winning the AWA title belt. They kept it on Bockwinkel the entire time. Hogan left to go to Japan, And Vern Gagne finally brought him back, I think, probably promised him the world or whatever. And Hogan, again, thought he won the title. It didn't happen. So he left. He went to the WWF and became a superstar there. And the rest was history, right? Sorry, Vern. You messed that up. The debut of Wrestling 83 actually has Hulk Hogan on the cover here, which is kind of too. Winter 83. Hulk Hogan, what's holding back the world's strongest athlete? So a good shot there of the Hulkster on the cover of that magazine. And interesting enough too, for like for Stanley Weston crew to have that much what do you call it, man, I can't think right now, praise, I guess, or whatever, in the Hulkster, to think like this guy can sell, like we'll put him on the debut magazine. So that's kind of neat. March 1984, PWI, Hogan wasn't on the cover because it was the year in awards, but he did make the poster in here with Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Hogan was Inspirational Wrestler of the Year that year in 1984. Or, sorry, 83. Was it the 83 year? Yeah, the 83 year. So Hogan was the Inspirational Wrestler in 1983. He'd go on to win many more awards, of course, as time goes on for the PWI Year in Awards. April 84 for the Wrestler. Hulk Hogan's return to the WWF, what it means to wrestling. Hulkster's wrestling Harley Race there, ladies and gentlemen, in an NWA match. Hogan was going to be in the NWA. I think that's for the world title too, so that's before Starrcade. Hogan was going to be in the NWA. He was supposed to be at Starrcade 83 in a tag match, and he opted when he left the AWA, and he ended up going to the WWF, and the rest was history there, right? Imagine if the NWA had Hogan in the 80s. That mind-blowing to think that. PWI for May 84. Hulk Hogan, can the fans ever forgive his past treachery, meaning his heelish ways, his villain ways with classy Freddie Blassie? They, of course, did. The fans forgave him until, of course, the heel turn in 96, but that's still many, many, many years away. For September 84 for PWI, we get a color pinup here of the Hulkster. Look at that. It's a good-looking shot of Hogan with the old green WWF title belt. Looks nice on the Hulkster there. One of the rare occasions you'll see Hogan with that belt on, too, in a photo. Inside Wrestling, December 84, how Hulkamania trampled Big John Studd. That photo looks like it's from the AWA, though, judging by those ropes there and everything. Of course, John Studd and Hulk Hogan had some great matches in the WWF. A lot of cage matches, too. And Studd was always a bloody mess in them. Inside Wrestling, April 85, how rockstar Cyndi Lauper brought Lou Albano and Hulk Hogan together, thus creating soon-to-be WrestleMania 1. But yeah, Hogan looks happy there. He's in the WWF. He's the champ. He's making a lot of money with these celebrities now, left and right. I mean, you can't go wrong there. Hogan made the right choice leaving the AWA and Vern Gagne, that's for sure. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, July 85. Let's get it on. Hogan and Piper. Hogan versus Piper, enough hype. It's time to wrestle. That, of course, happened on MTV from the Madison Square Garden show, The War to Settle the Score, which then would create WrestleMania out of it. Very cool program. Very cool match. If you go back and watch Hogan and Piper from that one, very cool. Very good one. It's on the Rowdy Roddy Piper's Greatest Hits VHS tape. I believe it's on Piper's Wrestling DVD that came out back in 2006 as well. And it's on the network too, of course, right? Everything's on the network except for the stuff I want to see, which they don't want to put on. But that's another story for another time. The Wrestler, September 85. Exclusive photo retrospective, the amazing career of Hulk Hogan from rookie to champion. Of course, that photo there is from Japan. But let's take a look inside at what the Hulkster is doing here for the photos. It is on, let's see, page 34 here. Here we go. The amazing career of Hulk Hogan. Right there, the early years, so that would be Memphis and Florida, I believe, because he's wrestling Ron Bass there. So Hogan, of course, got his start in those companies, went over to the WWF, became a huge rule breaker there, managed by classy Freddie Blassie. There's the 24-inch sign saying that's how big his biceps are. In the AWA, he became a good guy and became Hulkamania, was starting to make buzz, started to get created, started to make some noise. The WWF champion, there it is, defeating the Iron Sheik and wrestling all the villains. There's the War to Settle the Score deal with Mr. T getting involved in everything to create WrestleMania. And of course, beyond the squared circle, we got Rocky III and the celebrities he's met and the talk shows he's done and such and the movies. So pretty cool thing. If you want a good pictures here on the early days of the Hulkster, the Wrestler, September 85 is where it's at. Inside Wrestling, I kind of messed up. This is August 85, so I got them in wrong order there, but that's okay because I can't figure out where this is from. It says WrestleMania, why it succeeded, why it failed, but I don't know where that match is from. The ropes in the back are all black. I can't figure it out. It might be the NWA even, back when Hogan was wrestling there for a bit. I don't know. November of 85. The wrestler, Hulk destroys Mr. Fuji, 1 down, 4 to go. Look at the ropes. 4 ropes going around the ring. This was, I believe, Bill from Pro Wrestling Mag said that this was like an promotional kind of event where boxing and wrestling and everything took place at it, and they had a boxing ring for it. And Hogan wrestled Mr. Fuji for some strange reason. I don't know why. Out of all the wrestlers you could pick, why Mr. Fuji? I don't know. Fuji was on his way out at the time. I think he started managing around that time. He was managing Morocco and such. So I don't know what they were thinking with Fuji being Hogan's challenge. Sports Review Wrestling, December 85. This is a sweet photo here of the Hulkster. Exclusive coverage around the world, Hulk Hogan. That's the IWGP title, ladies and gentlemen. Hulk Hogan, the first ever IWGP champion. Yes, the same title that was held by the likes of the Great Muta, and the same title that was held by the likes of AJ Styles and by Kenny Omega. So Hogan is just as good as Kenny Omega. But yeah, that's the same belt, same lineage, everything. So Hogan was the first. Wrestling Superstars, winner 85. We get a special dream tag team here of Hulk Hogan and the NWA champ here at the time, Kerry Von Erich. I don't think he was champion at the time here, so I don't know why they used that belt for the photo and why they couldn't use a WWF title for Hogan then, right? That seems kind of weird, but yeah, a dream. And that dream could have happened in 1990 when Kerry became the Texas Tornado, but they opted to do Ultimate Warrior and Texas Tornado in tag team matches and not Hogan and Tornado. January 86, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Exclusive photos of a lifetime of Hulk Hogan from the cradle to the throne. Let's take a look inside here at what photos we get. See where it's at. Page 30. All right. So here we go. Photos of a lifetime, Hulk Hogan from the cradle to the throne. We got him as a baby and such over here. So I don't even know where they got these photos from. Some more child photos of the Hulkster. Getting a little older here now, age 12 and such. And here his teenage years and into his 20s. Okay, this photo here. See that photo there of Hogan in the middle? He's 16 years old there. The guy looks like he's 30. I mean, man, that's ridiculous. How did these guys look so old here? There's no way. That's got to be wrong. There's no way he was 16 there. They had to have been wrong on the age. When I was 16, I didn't look anything like that. Neither did any of my friends. So that's weird. March of 86 now. We got Pro Wrestling Illustrated Year in Awards. We got the Hulkster here wearing a PWI shirt along with Ric Flair and the Road Warriors. Hulkster with the double bicep pose, of course, as usual. I believe he was most popular wrestler of the year. Here, let's take a look. Yeah. There it is. Hogan with some kids. Hogan, most popular wrestler of the year, won with 17,189 votes. So Hulkster with a big award win there. Much more impressive than his, was it most inspirational it was, I believe, in 83. Like, that's a big jump. Inspirational is good, but to be most popular, you know you've made it then in wrestling. June 86 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Randy Savage proves Hulkamania is dead. Will WrestleMania 2 make it live again? The only thing I could think of with that caption is I remember King Kong Bundy said in a shoot interview that Vince McMahon was trying to decide, does he want Savage and Hogan at WrestleMania 2 or Bundy and Hogan? And Bundy kind of went up to Vince and said, what would you rather have, a small little guy against Hogan in your main event or a big monster? And Vince went with the big monster and kind of buried Macho Man by saying that. But he's not wrong. Bundy was way bigger than Savage in height and in weight. So WrestleMania 2 was kind of a pretty sweet match, though, right? The cage match, Bundy got colored and bled everywhere. It was a good match. Wrestling Superstars Summer of 86. We got the champions on the cover. We got Ric Flair as NWA champ, Stan Hansen as AWA champ, and the Hulkster with the WWF title. Of course, that's the belt that is pretty much a replica of the NWA television title that you'd see guys like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard hold in that company. So it doesn't really look much like a world championship, does it? Summer of 86 for Wrestling 86. Hulk Hogan, is he strong enough to survive the fallout of WrestleMania 2? He did. He survived it and then some and thrived until much, much later on. So, yeah, he did okay. I think he did just fine. July 86, Inside Wrestling, an All American special issue. We got Slaughter, Magnum TA, and Hogan. Hogan looking huge here. I mean, Magnum TA and Sergeant Slaughter were not small dudes, but look at Hogan, his chest and everything. Hogan was a massive dude. Even if he wasn't cut or defined or whatever, he was big, he was bulky, and that's what people noticed about him. That's why he was larger than life, right? Pro Wrestling Illustrated, September 86. It's the Supercards one, but we got a sweet shot of Hogan and Bundy there on the cover. Bundy bloodied and Hogan getting ready to take him into the steel cage. Like I said, it was a good steel cage match. I liked it. I thought it was good, so for what it was. And winter of 86 for Wrestling Superstar. Superstars, we get the Superstar Dream Match, Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, and there they are. Look at that, the NWA World Champion, the WWF World Champion, and like I said, Ric Flair's belt here looks like a world title. It's big, it's gold, it looks good, shiny, and the WWF title is silver and small. And like I said, it's a replica of the NWA television title. The only difference is the NWA TV belt had red on it, where that title had black, right? That was the difference. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it didn't look like a world title belt to me, but that was what they decided at the time, and that's what they went with. The Wrestler, January 87, Bobby Heenan's bitter crusade to destroy Hulk Hogan. That photo, of course, is from the AWA. The ropes are dark. Bobby Heenan has sideburns. It's probably 1982, that photo, maybe 83. But still, it's a cool shot of the Hulkster and Heenan there. February 87, the WWS Hate Triangle, Hogan, Piper, and Orndorff. Who should Hogan trust in this? He trusted the wrong guy. He trusted Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and it came back to bite him on the ass because Hogan didn't answer the phone. That's all he had to do. Inside Wrestling, March of 87, happy anniversary, Hulk Hogan. The WWF champion celebrates 3 years at the top. Of course, that photo again of Hogan there has been used a lot so far. So I believe it's an AWA photo. I'm guessing they just have a lot of them to use, different poses and such, because at the time they weren't allowed to come to the arena and take photos of the WWF superstars. Vince McMahon had his own wrestling magazine out, had his own photographers. So if they took photos of the events at the WWF, they were almost with a telescope in the crowd or something, very far away photos. And you can tell that in a lot of these, like this one coming up here, The Wrestler, April 1987, Hulk's Giant Task, Hercules, Kamala, and Andre. But yeah, look, that's definitely far away photo. It's not ringside. But yes, hyping up Andre the Giant now. Hogan and Andre, that looks like it's going to happen, right? And even PWI here in May of 87 says so. We got Hulk versus Andre. The WWF braces for an all-out war. And those photos are very old of Hogan and Andre. And there's the tail of the tape there. And, Hogan is apparently 24-inch pythons, but I don't know. Andre has 21 or 20 and a half. I don't know. Their arms both look pretty similar, so I'm not too sure how they base that. May 87 of The Wrestler, Hulk versus Andre, how the experts see this match. There's an old photo of Hogan and Andre, probably from 1980, when their battles in the WWF at the time, when Hogan was a villain, Andre, of course, being the good guy. June 87 for PWI, we get a poster of the Hulkster. And it's this one here with the WWF title. So it's a good looking shot of Hogan, no doubt. But again, it's that weird silver looking belt. Again, that doesn't look like a world title. But that's what the WWF went with for almost I think a year they had that belt. And then they upgraded. June 87 for Sports Review Wrestling, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, the war that's bigger than both of them. This picture here is taken from Saturday night's main event and in the Battle Royal, where both men came face-to-face for the first time leading up to WrestleMania 3. So that was kind of a big deal at night to see them go at it before the big event on pay-per-view in Detroit, Michigan. August 87 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, we get Giant Killer. Hogan topples Andre at WrestleMania 3. There's the new WWF title belt there now. That looks like a world title belt. Looks good on the Hulkster. That is from Maple Leaf Gardens, too, in Toronto. You can tell by the rampway. But yeah, there's a photo of Hogan slamming Andre there. Now, I'm not too sure if that's the first slam where Andre lands on Hogan or the last, but I'm guessing it looks like it's the first. That's what I'm getting there. That's probably the first one. Inside Wrestling, September 87, Hulk Hogan defeats Harley Race, how fate took the greatness out of this violent feud. Hogan looks bloodied there, all wrapped up in bandages. But if you want to see these two have some good matches, rent or get a hold, rent. You can't rent anymore, but get a hold of the old WWF Even More Unusual Matches that was out on Coliseum Video. And they have back-to-back matches on there, one from Boston Garden, one from Madison Square Garden. And Harley ends up juicing really bad in both of them, just bloodied. He ends up headbutting the belt and blades, and there's blood everywhere. But a really good match between the two. Both matches. They're pretty much identical, carbon copies, so I don't know why they felt they need to put both on the tape. One would have been just as good, but whatever. Sports Review Wrestling for September 87. It's time for a real American, Hulk Hogan for president. This is from the AWA. Those ropes are blue and red there. He's got Python Power shirt on. Still a good-looking shot of the Hulkster there. The Wrestler, December 87. Rude, Bigelow, Gang, DiBiase, Hulk Hogan, will he be drowned by the new wave of challengers? Well, Bigelow was his friend, not his foe, and he helped him in battles against Rude, Gang, and DiBiase. Not sure where they got that photo of Hogan from. He looks concerned. He's wearing I don't even know what kind of shirt that is. It's probably out and about on a Saturday afternoon, and someone snapped a photo of him and said, that will do. January 1988, Inside Wrestling. Is Hulk Hogan bored with the WWF title? No, he wasn't, and there's a good shot of the belt and the Hulkster there. He'd be getting ready, though, to wrestle Andre on the main event in a big match, so that's going to be exciting. The Wrestler, March 88. After 4 years as champion, only Hulk Hogan can beat Hulk Hogan. Good shot of the Hulkster doing the ear thing there to the fans. But yeah, that's kind of true. He should have been smarter. He should have known Ted DiBiase was going to be up to something. He didn't. And the fake referee, ripped him out of the title, right? Well, in kayfabe ways, but still, what an interesting. That was just a whole cool match, cool storyline. I was 7 years old at the time, and I was just like, whoa, I can't believe Hogan's no longer champion. Because he was the only champion I knew from the time I started watching. The Wrestler, May 1988. Belt or no belt, Hulk Hogan is still the people's champion. So fans still love the Hulkster here in 1988, whether he has a belt or not. June 1988 for PWI. Is the end near for Hulk Hogan? It was not. He was okay. He still stuck around. He went off in 1988 to make a movie, No Holds Barred, but he still came back. Wrestling 88, spring of 88, Mega Powers. The Hogan Savage Alliance can destroy the WWF. There they are, bloodied. But what a great alliance that was. September, Saturday night's main event. They shook hands. Mega Powers was formed. And then for 2 years, we had some crazy storylines between the two. Wrestling Superstar, spring of 88. Bruno Sammartino versus Hulk Hogan. The Legend of 67 meets the Hulkster of 87. I still think even if they wrestled in their primes against each other, McMahon would have picked Sammartino to go over because Sammartino was a wrestling icon, a wrestling legend in New York. He was loved by everyone. Hogan was popular in the 80s, but Sammartino had a different kind of popularity back in the 60s and 70s that I don't think Hogan can match up with. July 88 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. PWI press conference, Hulk Hogan, I've been in a dream world, and Andre is my worst nightmare. Good shot of the Hulkster and Andre there. They had quite the wars in 87 and 88. 88 for the Wrestler. It's July 88. Hulk Hogan 88, Rule Breaker. But no, that didn't happen until 1996 in WCW, but still, interesting theory on what had happened. And I'm going to stop it with this one here because it's kind of the end of the Hulkster in the WWF title reign. Because now it's PWI August 1988, Macho Madness. The torch is passed. Yes, Randy Savage is now the WWF World Champion. Hogan took a back seat to the Macho Man. He would stand behind Randy in his title reign, though. And of course, as time went on, jealousy became an issue, and we will see that in the next video that I do on Hulk Hogan being the Mega Powers exploding era. So I hope you enjoyed this first video of the Hulkster. If you're a Hulk Hogan fan, you're going to love it. If you're not, you're probably not going to. But it's a cool trip back to see early photos of the Hulkster and whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed the next one. And until I get that one uploaded, I'll talk to you guys later.